Yellowstone supervolcano, warning from geologists of what could happen because it would resemble what happened in the past in the event of a super eruption. There was the mother of all ash clouds. Yellowstone volcano would release the mother of all ash clouds during a super eruption that would cover half of the United States, according to a documentary of based on what happened in the past and what could happen in the future. Yellowstone caldera, as we know, is an active supervolcano. It sits under the northwest part of Wyoming, stretching into Montana and Idaho. And the last super eruptions, the past 3 times, were 2.1 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, and 640,000 years ago. That one, the last one, was a double eruption 170 years apart. Since then, there have been a lava eruption 70,000 years ago and another 80 eruptions since then. And one of them even created a lake, a hydrothermal explosion that created Mary Bay. Now, this led to some to claim that perhaps it could be that Yellowstone may be overdue, but the U.S. Geological Survey is constantly monitoring the volcano for any signs of such an event. Amid speculations, Naked Science documentary on supervolcanoes revealed what could happen on such a dreaded event. The narrator back in 2013 said within an hour of a Yellowstone super eruption, there would be pyroclastic flows that could race across the countryside, even engulfing the valley of Jackson Hole in Wyoming and Livingston, which are 50 miles away. And within a 60-mile radius, 90% of any remaining people would no longer be because of all this ash. A few blown to pieces in the initial blast, they said. That's how strong it would be. Most would suffocate because of the heat of the pyroclastic flows. And this would be the beginning. Blowing across the states would be the mother of all ash clouds, they said, an aerial mountain of deadly particles and debris. And the series went on to explain what would happen to the ejected ash from the eruption. They said Yellowstone National Park is the site of a recurring supervolcano, an eruption so large that if it happens again, it would destroy nearly everything within the 60-mile radius. A Yellowstone super eruption could throw ash 15 miles up high into the atmosphere, and the fallout could cover half the United States. 3 days after the eruption, the skies would be dark and deadly. From scientists' predictions, we've pieced together a picture of the country after 3 days of ashfall, and the series explains it would have a global impact as well. It would be grounding flights and even destroying homes. At 6 times heavier than wet snow, wet ash would cause many roofs to collapse. It would clog up filters of cars and ground aircraft across much of the western United States. Any airplanes in flight would be in danger of crashing, engines clogged by these fine particles. When Mount St. Helens erupted, the swirling particles of ash in the atmosphere generated lightning as well, and that ignited scores of forest fires. Now, a supervolcano could ignite hundreds. The worst affected region would be the downwind area up to 500 miles from the supervolcano. And the documentary went on to say as far away as Salt Lake City and Denver. And while the threat of an eruption is a reality, the USGS has put minds at ease regarding overdue claims. And they said Yellowstone Volcano Observatory scientist in charge Jacob Lowenstern back in 2014, when you see people claiming it's overdue, usually the numbers they come up with say the last eruption was 640,000 years ago, but it erupts every 600,000 years. In fact, if you average the eruption intervals, there's 2.1 million years, 1.3 million years, and that's 640,000 years. So if you average those numbers out, you come out with something like over 700,000 years. So in reality, we would not be overdue for another 70,000 years. So there's nothing to worry about. All the activity in Yellowstone is considered normal. The heaving, the inflation and the deflation, and everything as far as earthquakes are concerned, everything is normal background activity. Nothing to worry about. This is on Express UK by Callum Hoare. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.